so excited.
So, there's two types of people in the world. There's the people like me, and then there's the people like my sister who say, I'm running late, and then they're 2 minutes early. Like that's my
Well,
sister.
that's true.
Yeah.
I'm more like you, Evan.
Yeah. I know. God bless us. What I've learned about that, because for so long I was trying so hard to be, the guy who's always on time and all of that. And I realized, um, the people who are like always on time, they're not any happier. It's a compulsion. Talk to so many people
It is,
like,
yeah.
yeah, it's like the anxiety that I receive from being late. Um, is actually no different than the anxiety that they get being on time. It's the same, like, oh no, kind of thing. So, um, so you get it going one way or the other. And I come by it very honestly because that was the thing that my dad and I always fought about was like me being on time. And, he would punish me relentlessly. And I was coming home from like church groups and stuff where we're having water balloon fights. You know what I mean? And so I have a lot of stored trauma around just this thing of being like 1 or 2 minutes late. And Angie adapted the other way.
Hey, Evan, I have a question before we start, if I may.
Sorry, no questions allowed. All right.
So it's a technical question. Heather downloaded the Zoom app, but she can't see anybody except you.
She can't see anybody but, well, that is most likely a setting on her end. Um, I mean, I'm not sure why she'd want to see anybody but me, but
Right. Well,
separate.
She
yeah.
should probably swipe right.
That's a
Swipe
separate
right.
issue. Right,
Might
there
be
is.
enough to do it.
Swipe right. Okay.
Yeah, try that.
Thank you.
Right, Evan? That's the first.
Sure.
I'm on a phone, and if I swipe left, I only see you. If I swipe right, I see everybody.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's
I didn't
true.
think about
On
that
the
because I'm
phone,
on my laptop.
there's
Yeah.
kind of four stages, where you can, okay, let me make Natasha a co-host and let me make Angie a co-host. Okay,
Sorry,
so
Ev, wait 1 second. I'm going to switch to my laptop. Sorry. I was
okay.
waiting in the other link room.
Oh, okay.
I'm switching
That's
right
good. That's a good room too. Not as much happening there. This one's probably better. This is where we have. I'm really surprised and delighted by the excitement and the turnout for the book club. I suggested the book because I think it's great, but the notion that we all want to get together to talk about it thrills me. I mean, I'm glad everybody else is excited too.
I'm
It's cool.
thinking you should just have like a 24/7 Zoom link. I mean, I'm here 2 hours out of every day anyway. Why not just
Right.
keep it open all the time?
Yeah. Yeah, we should. Well, actually, it's actually an idea. That's actually an interesting thing, like to have a sort of ongoing, sort of virtual space where members can just come to connect too. I can't
Yeah.
promise that I would be there 24/7. It might be a little demanding of my time. I mean,
That
why would I want
worked.
to
Thank
do
you,
anything
everybody.
else, right? What was that, Ange?
That worked. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, great.
Oh.
Look at that teamwork. I love it. Well, and let me just say, I mean, I just posted this, but on there, but just the last couple of days, the interactions, everybody talking about their experience with intuition, and then also the continuing story of their habits. I got to tell you, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, I don't know. Are you guys? That's the main reason I'm bringing it up. Are you guys feeling that too? Are you guys feeling the power of that community conversation? I mean, because otherwise, it's just me, preaching at you guys all day long. But there really is, and I think you'll find this too as we get into purpose. I think next week we're not doing purpose. I hope nobody's disappointed. I think next week is going to be devoted to finding your blocks. I feel like that's a slightly more important conversation, to begin with, and to start to be with that energy. And that will actually help us when we start to get into, what are your deepest strengths and the facets of the diamond, and what you have to offer. So we're going to do that first. Why am I saying that? Oh, because as you start to get into your purpose and what you do and the gifts that you have to give, I'm pretty sure everybody here is very confident that there's nothing that I'm really saying that unique. Right? But there's the way that I say it. Right? I mean, there's some uniqueness too. I mean, I'm definitely saying things in a way that's different than a lot of people. But when it comes down to it, it's my take on wisdom of the ages or whatever, and each one of us has, as we're tapping into our intuition, especially, each one of us has these incredible things to share and offer. And believe it or not, there are people out there who need to hear it in the way that you say it. The way that you say it is going to be better for them than the way I say it. The people who sort of are here with me are the people who when I say it, they go, yeah, that makes sense. There's plenty of people out there who, when I say it, they go, I don't get it. Right? So those aren't the people who are here. But they're going to be people who the way you say it makes sense. And you might say it with your art or your dance or your travel planning business, right? The energy that you transmit and what you give as you're helping somebody plan their ultimate vacation or whatever it is that you're doing, your voice and the way that you do it will be your unique contribution, right? And so that's why it's so important for everybody to share, especially if you're having an insight, please share that, because that's going to inspire somebody else. And I love that everybody's posting their habits and daily. That's kind of good. Everybody just every day make a new post and say, hey, this is day 11, right? So everybody can see that, because I don't know about you, but when I see that, it gives me a lot of strength. It's like, look, we're all doing this together. This is great. So do that. Don't be afraid. Get up there, post and say, hey, today's day 11 and this is what's happening with it. I posted today, day 45. Yesterday, I backed off a little bit. I did a little bit less. And then today I did more because I felt stronger, probably because I did a little bit less yesterday. So this whole thing of like, do less, achieve more. I keep hearing posts that really echo that. It's like, oh, I backed off and I was able to do more. That's a very consistent theme here. Do less, achieve more. We are able to get better results from ourselves when we treat ourselves with gentleness and kindness, as opposed to that pushing. In fact, Dawn, I wanted you to share your little story, and then this is the wrong time for me to be talking about this, but we'll talk about it for a second. So Dawn, just share with us. Probably we should do it on the other one. No, we'll do it on the other one. This is book club. Shut up, Evan. Okay, I'm going to pass it over to my sister, who actually knows why we're here. I'm just talking. Go ahead, Ange.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I am so thrilled to be here. I'm excited to be here and to talk about this wonderful book that my very, very, too many words pop in my head trying to describe my brother. My very,
Tall.
very most favorite, tall, handsome, smart, spiritual brother picked. Okay, so this book is by Michael A. Singer. He's a best-selling author. So, I mean, just by reading the cover, it says My Journey into Life's Perfection. I'm like, okay, I'm going to read your other book up here, Untethered Soul. So, that was great. And then, I just thought maybe I could do a little prayer, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
I come from a Christian background, so I might say God and things like that, but I want you to apply it to how you feel, because although I say that, I'm talking to just a higher power. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this time that we could be together, this time that you have chosen right now to be in the present, to receive a message. I pray that we are here with an open heart and an open mind to receive what you have for us, to receive what others are going to share, how we may experience it together and learn from each other. What a beautiful, beautiful plan that you have laid out before us. I pray that these words of Michael Singer touch our hearts, but not only touch our hearts, that they may be embedded into our memory so that we can use them to better our lives. so that we may have a fulfilling and loving life that he describes in this wonderful book. Thank you so much again for this time. We pray this in your son's name. Amen.
Amen.
So I like even just the acknowledgments here. He says, in truth, life is really the author of this book. And I thought that was a very gracious, humble way to start, because he's acknowledging that, hey, this isn't coming from me, from my intellect. This is coming from the universe. This is what I have been taught. This is what I have been shown, and I'm sharing it with you. So I really liked how he started that acknowledgement. And then I wanted to share a little passage in the first page of the premise and then open it up to what you all think of that. But this
Hey,
little passage here, yeah, go
what I'm
ahead.
going to do is I'm going to actually put this. Oops, let's stop doing that. Let me put the this stuff up on the screen so that we can everybody can look at it kind of together. So give me just 1 second to pull that off.
Okay,
Can you guys all see that on my screen?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to start about on the very first page of the premise here, kind of in the middle of the first section there. He says, and I had become CEO of the public corporation that life had somehow magically manifested around me. It was perfectly clear to me that all of these life experiences, including running a business at this level, were doing as much to free me spiritually as my years of solitary meditation. And I'm like, wow, I'm blown away. Like I could just stop right there and talk about that a long time. So magically, these things are happening in his life. But what really sticks out to me is here's someone who has done meditation by himself for years, okay? But he has chosen to be open what life puts in front of him. And he is saying that being a CEO of a company and working has freed him spiritually just as much as being a yogi, of meditating for years, of doing yoga for years. That, and I think about my work, and I'm sorry, but my work has not freed me spiritually. My work has hindered my spirituality. So that's just amazing to me right there. Just that one little paragraph there. So would anybody like to share either on that section or another section from the premise that stuck out to you as much as that stuck out to me?
I can start with that. I'm actually trying to put it on my other screen since I have two screens, but well, I'll work on that in the background. But yeah, the notion I think one of the things that's great about this community, about Debtors Anonymous as well, is this is very much spirituality in action. It's not spirituality in a cave. You know what I mean? So it's like, so we these and where I come from is very much the fact that the notion that these events are all the events that we're getting at any given moment are the exact events that we need to actually get us to happiness the fastest. And I would say to you, Angie, I would say, including that job, not that's it a barrier in any way. You know, there's a, and I forget what culture it is, but I think it's Chinese. The symbol for opportunity and problem are exactly the same symbol. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's going through these things actually that heals us. So I think there's actually more spiritual wisdom to be gained in life than there is from just sitting in meditation. I think sitting in meditation and then going into life together is really powerful. And I think he really
Yeah.
did that.
Yeah.
Can you see the hands that are raised, Angie?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to
So,
work on getting this passage up on the other screen.
okay. Dawn, would you like to share?
Hi. Um,
Morning.
Good morning. What really sticks out to me and what I was really kind of excited about was that passage that you had highlighted, was that all these life experience, including running a business at this level, were doing as much for him spiritually as the years of meditation. Like what a concept, and like it spoke to me because I'm like, I never really thought of those being like hand in hand, and how could I have both? And it just kind of intrigued me, like, wow, I really want to hear what this guy has to say and how he did this. So I'm just wanted to share that. I'm just really interested. That kind of just like grabbed me, so to speak. Like, I want that.
Yeah, that pulled me in because I hadn't thought about it in that way either. Um, Great. Thank you for sharing. May I call on Susie?
Thank you. Hi, everybody.
Morning.
Um, I I love that passage as well, and I kind of just paused to reflect on, wow, what does that look like? What does that feel like? And it reminded me of how I've had different places of employment, and as well as non-employment, just working situations. But there was one I had back in high school where it was such a wonderful, rewarding environment. I worked for this guy who was an Olympic athlete, and him and his wife started a business gym, and I helped them build it and sell memberships. And the thing about it though was they just created an environment that was so safe and yet productive and all this. But I realized that what he's talking about here, Michael's talking about, is different, on another plane perhaps. But I always refer back to working in that environment when I'm wondering about the current one that I'm in and whether or not something's off base, because it helps me know what a functional working environment is and what a non-functional working environment is. So it's always been a good point of comparison, but I'm eager to have that idea built upon by this book. I want to share that.
Wonderful. That's great. And like you said, he's coming from a different plane. Totally. Totally get that. Totally see that. And I certainly want that in my life. That's great. That's great. To add that there. Love that. May I call on Debbie?
Hi, thank you. I just got out of the shower, so I'm just going to keep just my photo up. I just want to say that I'm really grateful to be a part of this group. I didn't know how much we were supposed to read, but I did read this book in 2019. And I really kind of divinely stumbled into this community, but it was so divine. And when people were talking about a different plane, it's like, yeah, he's literally on a plane, a different plane, in flight. A couple of weeks ago, or a few weeks ago, I was thinking, because as I'm seeking some, another level of evolution. I was thinking, I need to reread this book because it was so powerful. The way throughout the whole thing, he follows spirit, his intuition, and how it unfolds is just so amazing. And so I thought, I need to reread that because it was so powerful. And I am really fully relying on my higher power more than I probably ever, well, maybe not more, but in a really huge way. And this community I'm pretty overwhelmed with the abundance. I thought it was going to be one thing, and I kind of don't know where to begin. And people are, kind of further along in things and combining, different things. But I am just really grateful, and I'll figure it out. And I just couldn't believe it when a fellow sent me the link to the Unlocking Your Blocks, and I only signed up Monday, the first day, and And then when I found out, the book was this, I was like, oh my God, I already had told myself I need to listen to this again. So anyways, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you,
Well,
Debbie.
thank
Really
you for
so glad to have you here. And just reach out to me. Just send me a direct message, and I'll
I
sort of
will.
point you in the right direction to get started.
Thank you. I will.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that you were listening to that intuition. You said you were divinely brought here. So I think life was pointing you in this direction, just like the book is talking about here. And I think that's beautiful. And it's no coincidence that you had already read the book and were familiar with it. So in other words, welcome and you're in the right place. Um, can we hear from Douglas and then we'll have Adelia share.
Yeah, thanks, Angie, and
Good
Evan,
morning.
and everyone here. It is great to read a book together because I often want to go really fast through a book and not really properly ingrain it. And C.S. Lewis once said in a book, he asked somebody what their favorite book was, and or favorite books, and then he'd follow up by saying, "And how many times have you read them?" And if they said once, he said that can't be your favorite book because your favorite book needs to be read many, many times for you to really get the juice from it. And so the fact we've stopped off right at the beginning here is perfect around this part around running a business. Because I did have that. I've been meditating since 1988 when I was in London, straight after university. And I was running a business as CEO for 12 years, and then a break, and then back at the same company for another 7 years as CEO. We did pre IPO. We didn't do an IPO, but so I had both of those running at the same time, and I think the meditation was really, really important for creating calmness amongst all of the craziness of a company that is growing really, really quickly. And I read this book a while back as well, but it's so good to read it again. It was impactful at the time, and that's just. And then the comment that was made about that Evan made about the Chinese word for crisis. It's got both danger and opportunity. It's got two symbols. So it's got danger and opportunity next to it, and that's pretty awesome that those two can exist like yin and yang, maybe the business and the spirituality part. But yeah, so again, appreciate you having this meeting. This is great.
I'd
Thank
like
you
to say
for being here.
I'd like to say one thing. Yeah, absolutely. Welcome, Douglas. Great to see you. I'd like to say one thing about that. So, in terms of this notion of, I would say every job we have, every work situation, in fact, every relationship is this, if you use it in the right way. To quote something out of the big book, it's like, if you use these principles as a way of life, right? That's what we're talking about here. So there's another line, it's in step one, which is, we soon take quite another view of this absolute humiliation. And so if you just substitute humiliation for whatever is right in front of you, and we take another view of it, that this is for us. So I'll give you an example from the last time that I worked for somebody. I had a boss who was very much, dog sighting. Wait. There's Peanut.
There's
Hey, Peanut.
Peanut.
He was a my way or highway kind of guy. And, certainly I was in the ego thing of frustrated, like I want more space to be more creative, yada, yada. It was my father. And it was me getting to work through my father energy and to let go of that. So when I let go of that job, I was letting go of that whole dynamic. It's not I had a bad boss. That's a way of looking at it that's going to keep you suffering. It's life is always showing me what my obstacles are. So, next week when we talk about how to get to your biggest obstacles, oh geez, I triggered an event. That's what this means. Literally using every single quote unquote problem that we have as an opportunity for spiritual growth. That's the deal. And so that's one of the reasons this book is so perfect. It very perfectly aligns with the sentiment of this community, of using everything to get happier, happiest. Okay, sorry. Take it away.
Yes. Okay, and I just wanted to say to Douglas, I love how you shared about rereading it because I have read the premise here probably about 10 times. And then I go, oh, something else. And I get my highlighter out. And it just really is a gift that keeps on giving because you keep reading it, miss something, get something. So great, great advice. All right. So we're going to go with Adelia, then Wendy.
Hi. I'm not
Martin.
feeling so well, and also one of my eyes swelled up, so I'm staying off camera today. Um, I actually, Evan said most of what I wanted to say just now, and that was that maybe because I spoke with my friend that had been very much affected by this author, and also because I saw a few videos of him on YouTube, but and because of my experience that really it's a lot of the times not the things that are so happy that give me more growth, but the things that are more challenging. And I have begun to understand. I mean, it takes time. It takes time for me because I've been so much in denial and protection, so that I really don't want to go through whatever gift God is bringing me in the situation. But like this year, I had such a difficult, challenging job, but I learned so much, and I feel like I changed so much also, and I became more ready to surrender to doing this kind of stuff, which without that, I don't think I would have been. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. And okay, so you're talking about, this was a difficult job, but you grew from it. And that's exactly what this is talking about here. Like several times, he was presented with these opportunities. All he was wanting to do was, meditate and yoga but these opportunities kept coming to his door. So he surrendered and started saying yes. And the outcome is that it ended up being beautiful and he grew from it. So that's what you're talking about. Great. Miss Wendy?
Thanks, Angie. Um, so yeah, I've been meaning to read this book for a while. But there's so many good books to read. Anyway, so I'm really thrilled that I am reading it now. And I saw all three steps in this premise of the 12 steps, just 1, 2, and 3. First of all, why do we try so hard to control everything? And then what it all is about is sort of your attitude towards it and how you respond and participate. He says here, what would happen if we respected the flow of life and used our free will to participate in what's unfolding instead of fighting it. So, I love that. I used to, there was all the stuff about the law of attraction, right? That people would read about and you'd hear about. And, it sounded, I think a lot of people sort of responded to it as if that was about magic. Somehow if you just magically got into all these, Maseratis and mansions and all this other stuff would come to you. But I think really what's true about it is that it is attitude, because if you don't fight and you have an open mind, actually opportunities are probably always coming my way and I just don't see them because of how I approach things. For example, and I won't take up too much more time, but I really love to take hot baths at night. And last night I took a bath, and then as I was standing underneath the bathroom washing dishes, something started to drip on my head.
Oh no.
And it was a leak, which had been happening in the past and no one could find its source. And I thought it was gone, but it wasn't. It's not. And the thoughts that went into my head were, I've been having a fight with this house for some months now, and it's winning. I'm losing, it's winning. And also, geez, I can't even, like, the one thing that would soothe me with all the crap that's been happening in the last weeks is hot baths, and I can't even have that. All right, so I'm trying to see it differently today. I woke up seeing it differently. I will say that.
Oh, good. Oh, good. But I like the point that you brought up. Um, okay, because right here at the bottom page of the first page of the premise, it's talking about life rarely unfolds exactly as we want it to. The scope of life is universal, and the fact that we are not actually in control of life events should be self-evident. Um, yeah, I kind of knew I wasn't in control, but I still had the will to expect a certain outcome and expectation. And further in the book, it talks about, how we're not happy unless our vision, our choices are answered. Um, so, but life, and now in the second page, um, it talks what manifests in front of us at any given moment is actually something truly extraordinary. It is the end result of all the forces that have been interacting together for billions of years. And then it goes on to say, we are not responsible for even the tiniest fraction of what is manifesting around us. Nonetheless, we walk around constantly trying to control and determine what will happen in our lives. No wonder there's so much tension, anxiety, and fear.
Mm.
Okay, so when I insert my will and my wants and put a vision or words to what I expect the outcome to be, that's when there's anxiety because things didn't go exactly my way. Well, here we're going to learn, and we are learning to listen to our intuition and let life unfold before us, and to be open to what life is giving us. And it's a much more peaceful, harmonious way. So I like that you brought that up. That's where I was going next. Thank you so much. Raj, would you like to share?
Yeah, thanks, Angie. And it's awesome that you and Evan have put this together. It's a book that I've read. I've only read the first few chapters 2 or 3 years ago, and my buddy and I applied our mini surrender experiment. We're like, let's do this for like 90 days, and we're going to surrender and blah blah blah. I'm not kidding you. My life took off, and like I directed commercials. I became in the union. I met women. It was so much fun. After the 90 days, I'm like, I'm good. I surrendered, like whatever. Anyway, the point is, I actually like when you were saying that, I got to tell you, and this maybe it's a question for Evan, like in terms of him and I are, well, working on coaching and like also um surrender has been tricky for me. I get it. Like you know, also, I'm a huge law of attraction fanatic. Like I've worked with amazing coaches on that work. So there's this element of the vibra. So it's like a lot goes through me as I read this premise and the first chapter, and especially doing step work um, on step 3. So like just trusting the universe, right, and surrendering. So it's just that's just where I'm at. I just wanted to share that. I'm getting back into this book and appreciate it.
Well, appreciate you being here and sharing your work and your thoughts with it. That's great. That it's been something you've experimented and that you see working. You're saying that things took off. And yeah, I look forward to that happening for all of us here. Natasha, would you like to say something?
Definitely not now that Evan raised his hand. I'm taking this hand back down.
No,
Well,
you go
ladies first. Ladies first.
first.
I was just going to talk about how this book totally changed my life, but I wanted to ask Evan if he would talk about how it totally changed his life.
Oh,
Awesome.
okay. Well, I'll fold that into my comment. I mean, I'm really happy that we were able to get off the first paragraph. I think that's shows really good progress for our group. And the next thing that I had marked that I wanted to touch on is a phrase that makes me, deliriously happy, which is life rarely unfolds exactly as we want it to. That is such a deep truth. You know what I mean? And I feel like we could spend the whole time talking on that. And I think he does a pretty good job of talking about, the ego that we talk about around here all the time is the ego actually believes that things should go the way that they want it to. And what an absurd notion that is. And so much of what this book is about, and so much of what this community is about, is letting go of that voice, because that voice, as we talked about in the intuition challenge yesterday, is that voice so often is coming from like a 2 or 3, like from a place of fear and grasping. And it's saying, I want this beautiful thing, but it's reaching out for that beautiful thing because it's in such misery that it thinks that's the solution. And that's the problem. It's like following that voice of misery, trying to make itself happy, is really no way to live. And so I love that right here in the premise, he gets right down to that. It's like life is going to continue to unfold in ways that is going to make our ego unhappy. And well, it should, because our egos do not know what makes us really happy. That's why we can't follow them. So that's what I wanted to say. How did this book change my life? Well, I read this book, I would say 10 plus years ago, and I was in this really intensive group called LEAP. I think there were like 18 members, and it was this like very like exclusive and cool thing that I was really happy to be a part of. And this book came up, and it was just like, wow. It was so big for me, but I feel like I only got a small percentage of it now, because I just reread it because I recommended it to a client, and he was asking me questions about it. And I was like, well, I haven't read it in 10 years, so I don't remember. So I finished reading it again, and wow, I mean, it really fits. My appreciation for it now is 10 times what it was, because there's so much here in terms of, this community is called Unblock Your Brilliance, right? So that means each one of us is brilliant. Each one of us has these amazing gifts. And I think what makes this book exceptional is because there's a lot of books about spirituality and surrendering ego. But to surrender at the level that this man surrendered, and the level of success that came as a result, and the synchronicity of all the events, I just haven't read anything like it. You know what I mean? So to me, it's a beautiful pairing between the yin, the yang, the external and the success aspect, and how success really can be accompanied by this deep surrender. So I think it's become my favorite book for that reason. And so it also, as you know, Natasha, probably better than anybody, it's like I've been living my life from a place of intuition for so long. So to hear this book and fit with me, and then to see the results that came out of it was huge. But I feel like I'm living that much more now than I was 10 years ago, for sure. So.
Yeah. I wanted to, Natasha, I'm going to have you share in a second, but I wanted to go on what Evan was saying about life rarely unfolds exactly as we want it to, and how silly of us to think that we can control it or should control it. Because in the next page in the top paragraph, he talks about, life was here before us, life will be here after us. Life creates a baby from one cell. And life has been here for billions of years. So where did we get this notion? Why do we have this notion that we could control it? Our life is so humongous. Life knows what it's doing. Life has created everything around us. So just to go off of what you were saying, Evan, a little bit more, that next paragraph it's wow. Natasha, would you share, please?
Yeah, I just want to say, so I read this book because Evan told me to, when I had 19 years sober in the middle of the pandemic. And what it did for me principally is it made me realize that I had been deluded thinking I understood surrender for all of 19 years of hardcore working a program in sobriety. Like I had been fervently working steps, working with Evan. Prior to him, I started working with him in 2012, January 2012, and that I had just been deluded, thinking that I understood what surrender was, that this entire time there was a part of me when I would sit in meetings and people would talk about surrendering, where I would judge people and think, like, if people couldn't get it, whatever it was, the DA message, the AA message, the Al-Anon message, whatever it was, some part of me would actually think it was a choice. And that what it really came down to was that I really didn't get it, that, and this is the line that I would always say to Evan over and over and over, that what's actually happening is we can prepare the soil. We can use workshops. We can use working with someone like Evan. We can use meetings. We can use steps to fertilize our own soil of the spirit. But when it comes to the actual surrendering happening, that is not our choice. And I never understood that prior to this book. And it was fucking mind-blowing for me, like having an actual bodily experience of that truth thanks to this book and thanks to digesting it in discussion with Evan. Like, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe I had 19 years of sobriety and was a hardcore 12-stepper and just had literally been thinking the whole time, like, yeah, but it is kind of a choice. And it's what I learned from this book, my main takeaway was that we do not surrender ourselves, but we can prepare, and then sit in the second step hallway and wait for the third step to happen of surrender. Or, you know, some people would call the first step surrender, but and then the second thing, the main takeaway from this book and how it impacted my life on a daily basis is, and I do think of this book and the stuff that I learned from this book on a daily basis, is his story. It's twofold. His story is so remarkable.
Mhm.
And the way he fertilized the soil is so unique and remarkable, you know, from having a meditation retreat and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And you can feel the truth of his experience, like this really wealthy, successful man being totally okay and being
Yeah, you can make it
and being
when he
the
was at 12:30.
and being the peace in the storm amidst like radical chaos. Like he really did that. And I didn't know that that was possible. I didn't know that it's possible to be within radical chaos in the external world while still remaining totally centered by practicing surrender over and over and over and over. And so he sort of guides you through a version of how to do that. So whenever things get really chaotic, I always think of this book and I'm like, it doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be chaotic. It doesn't have to throw you off. It doesn't have to be dysregulated. Michael fucking Singer did it. Maybe you can too. Okay, I'm done.
That was beautiful.
Okay, that was awesome. And okay, I like what you shared about the different steps are that you can prepare the soil. We can do this work here. We can meet together. We could read. We could workshop. But, you know, it's life that is going to give us the surrender if we are there, if we are preparing the soil. I didn't think of that, and I love that. And oh, I forgot the other second thing I was going to say about what you just said. Okay, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Um, I forgot my train of thought. So sorry.
Okay, it happens to me all the time. We can have Odelia.
Yeah, we have a hand up, Adelia. Please
Hi.
share.
Yeah, I guess I was just maybe because I saw so many videos of him. Yeah, the point about you don't have to be meditating all day, which is great, and that your life circumstances bring you what you need. But the other one is that I don't know if you stay centered all the time, because I think according to him, like something happens and it might throw you off, but then you come back to center. Like it's always a wax and wane kind of a thing. Anyway, that's what I wanted to add.
Yes, exactly. And I just remembered what I was going to talk about. Yeah, what was amazing about his experiment and his life is that I didn't think it was possible to, he talks about so much how in meditation that he ignored the ego or he ignored the noise around him or he was able to quiet that. And I'm not at that place yet. Like when I meditate, little noises I could tune out and little things I could tune out. But you know, my ego or my thoughts will come in and I try to just let them pass and not force them. But I look forward to someday being at that level where I can actually tune the ego out, like not even hear it. That would be amazing. Um, So something else to look forward to and work on. Evan, I think you said we were ending at 9:50.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to say?
Yeah, I'm just sort of like going through, I think we kind of covered the notion and how absurd it is that the ego thinks that it should
Yes.
go the way. The next thing that I sort of had highlighted was this is an extremely difficult way to live, and it is the reason we feel that we are always struggling with life. So it's like, okay, that's all of us, I think. That is the
Yes.
human experience, struggle, right? And again, just coming back to the reason, I think this community exists is that ego is in a tremendous amount of pain,
Mm.
and that is why it is struggling, trying to find solutions. And so stepping out of that whole ego disaster and realizing that we are not that ego, stepping back from it. And that's what allows us to not have to try to follow that. I think here's what I want to say. The ego is never going to be happy. The ego is never going to get to a place where it is adjusted and feeling good about life. It's not capable because it is this protection safety mechanism that got created to protect the biology. And so it looks for threats always. And so it's never going to, the whole point of it is that it can't rest on its laurels because then it opens itself to danger. That's the whole point of the ego. So we're never going to be happy as long as we're identified with that small thing that is clutching at straws when we are this vast expanse of infinity that doesn't need any of these small things to work out in our favor in order for us to be gloriously happy. And and that's the thing. It's really this shift between seeing the smallness of the ego and that it has nothing really to do with us, and the freedom that creates, and that we're not really here to even try to train the ego and get it on track. We're here just to let it go. And of course, as we bring our loving compassion to it, it does quiet down a bit, for sure, no question about it. But there's always going to be next week. There's always going to be the next challenge where the ego where the next thing we haven't resolved, so that's why it's so important for us to start to stand back from the ego. And I think I was talking with you, Don, online before. You said something, and my response was, it's when we see the bars of our prison that we start to break free. And I think that's what's so great about this book, is we get to see the bars of our prison. And not that we don't go into fix it mode and say, okay, now we're going to fix that. We don't need to fix it. It's like it's happening to somebody else. We're okay. That's the thing. So I really identify with this thing of, that's why we struggle. We struggle because we're identified with this ego that lives in constant fear and probably always will. So there you go.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. That's amazing. I'm so proud to be your sister.
Good. All right. Well, we should probably wrap it up for today and put a bookmark in it, right? And then we should do it again next week, and maybe we'll even finish this first chapter. I think probably. How much is there left to go, Ange? We have quite a ways to go, don't we?
We have another 2 pages in the premise, so I don't know if you want to do that or chapter 1.
I think next week we'll finish. I think we should probably plan to finish the premise, and then we'll do chapter 1, just to be safe. Everybody can read ahead to chapter 1 if you want to. If you want to feel really like a good student and prepared and get a good start here then.
Yeah, there's so much in here, so it's hard to make it short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all right. All right. Any parting thoughts from anybody? Anybody want to say anything before we sign off for today?
Yeah, I have a question. So I was just wanted to know sort of do we have an idea of how we're going to do this? Like, is it, do you guys have an idea, or are we sort of just jumping in and winging it right now?
I think we're jumping in and winging it. Do you have an idea of how it should go, potentially?
I mean, what changed my life a lot was you sort of, everything, it always changes my life getting to see things through your filter. So, I don't know yet. I guess I'm just jumping
Well,
in.
it's new, and I think look, we're doing this in an hour from now. We're going to be doing day 4 of the intuition challenge, right? So this is really a question for deeper intuition. So we've had our first day here, right? And so how should it go? That's a sort of open question to the universe that we don't need to have an answer for, right? So it's much more like, okay, the tendency is to say, all right, well, what I need to do is think about it, right? But what I really need to do is feel about it. I feel like, okay, this is what the experience was, and where does it want to go? What's the next thing? So for me, I'm now dropping down here in my body. I'm dropping down here and listening to that to say, okay, where to next? So then, especially if we all do that, if we all sort of touch that sort of inner place and say, where can it go? That sort of collective powerful force can be even bigger, and we'll all sort of go in that direction. But it will find itself, it's just like, this community is a month old, and it's amazing to me to see how the universe has sort of guided it and what it's becoming. And so again, the same thing will happen here. We'll find this rhythm, and we'll find the way to extract the wisdom from this book as we go. We'll learn it by doing and listening, I think, to what the feedback that we're getting from ourselves, and the answer will come if we listen for it, I think. But that's exciting, right? Because that's exactly what we're learning. To live in the mystery, I can't even tell you guys, it's like, that is the best thing. And the ego is so anti living in the mystery, and our spirits love it so much. To not know is actually so much better than knowing. To discover it moment by moment. Like, imagine spoiler, a spoiler, like when you're watching a show, you don't want to know. And it's like life becomes like that. It's like, I don't want to know the answer. I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. That's the thing. But that's not the way the mind thinks about it. But our souls and our spirits love the mystery, love the unfolding of it, right? So it's going to unfold. And it's going to get better every time we do it, I'm pretty sure. All right, I've got another thing that I got to go to. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all very soon. And I hope you spend the next hour in deep contemplation, consulting your intuition about everything in your life. Oh, look at that cute doggy. Hold on.
This is Tessa.
What?
This is my other dog. I had to.
So
gorgeous.
Bye, everybody.
She's blind.
Thanks for
Tessa
great
is
session.
completely blind.
Bye, everybody.
I just want to say thanks for attending our first book club and giving me the opportunity.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate you all. Bye.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you, Angie.
everybody who wants to stay and look
y'all.
at dogs. What, Dawn, didn't you have a dog there just a second ago?
Her dog.
Okay, hold on.
Oh,
Hello.
who is that?
We have to have like a dog day.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
She's
But
so
she
cute.
was hiding. I was doing that.
Wonderful. All right, well,
So
see you guys
cute.
soon. Have a great one. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.